So yesterday we touched on the basic aspect on the walking and the sitting meditation. So these two basically is what we call the formal meditation. The first mental aspect of this meditation is the mindfulness. Yesterday, at least, we must know how the certain physical actions during in the walking or during the sitting, those physical action, it contributes or it creates the condition for the arising of that mindfulness. So the mindfulness is the mental aspect of it. Now, in order for us to understand mindfulness, perhaps nowadays you may understand mindfulness in many ways. Mindfulness becomes a multi-billion-dollar industry. Whereas over here we give it for free. Now the whole purpose of when the Buddha started off with this, the four foundation of mindfulness, or the Satipatthana. Here the purpose of this four foundation of mindfulness is for the purpose of for us to get out of this cycle of birth and rebirth. Until we see the suffering in the cycle of birth and rebirth, then only we will realize. If not, we'll just go on and on and on. But in order for us to have the first step to get out of this cycle of birth and rebirth, therefore, mindfulness is one of the crucial aspects of it. It's the beginning aspect of it. Together with that, you make the effort. You make the mental effort, you make the physical effort to do the walking, to do the sitting, to make the mental effort in order for all these wholesome mental states to arise, and also to prevent the unwholesome states from arising. Then it will help us, it will let us take the first step and the following steps so that we can able to get out of this cycle of birth and rebirth. So therefore, mindfulness is crucial. Mindfulness is one of the most important aspects of it. In Buddhism, all forms of meditation, you need to develop some degree of mindfulness. All forms of Buddhism, all forms of meditation. Without mindfulness, then the meditation will go in a wrong way, or you will develop the meditation wrongly. So it's important for us to understand that this mindfulness is like the linchpin. It's that crucial factor. So therefore, all yogis, you have to know by heart, not by thinking and reading about it. It's by learn how to feel it. When the mindfulness is there or when the mindfulness is not there. If without understanding it, without experiencing it, then you will sometimes or actually many times, I've met with people, I've met with meditators. They're coming from all over the places. They said they have mindfulness, but it is not mindfulness. Some people may be over concentrated. They thought that those are mindfulness. No, those are not mindfulness. Or on the other extreme, they thought that they just sit here, drink coffee, watch the birds fly. Oh, I'm having mindfulness. That also is not mindfulness. Those things are not mindfulness. Mindfulness has a certain degree of energy into it. So therefore, we have to recognize what is mindfulness, and also we have to recognize what is not mindfulness. So as I said, there are some example. I said over-focusing, it is not mindfulness. Too mentally too relaxed also is not mindfulness. So mindfulness is somewhat in the between of these two. Now, in order for us to practice this vipassana meditation, as I said, all forms of meditation, it begins with that mindfulness. But here specifically, the mindfulness here, that what we're trying to develop, is the present awareness, is a present clear awareness. The present part here, it is important for vipassana to develop. Because in other forms of meditation, mindfulness can also, in a way, I don't want to go in too deeply, in a way it can take us to past object or the future object also. Yeah. But we don't want to go too deeply. The thing is that what we want over here is the mindfulness on the present moment. And the present moment here is part and parcel of how we develop this meditation. We need that type of mindfulness. So, present. But then, not all present moment is mindfulness. Not all present moment is mindfulness. There are certain part of present moment only it's mindfulness. There are certain part of it is not mindfulness. Most part of it is not mindfulness actually. Here, to differentiate it a little bit further. When you are at home, let's say you are taking a shower. When you're at home, you are opening a door, you close a door, or you do something out of habit regularly. Is your mind present? Is your mind present? There's some degree of presentness is there. If not, you cannot do the activity or the particular thing. So there's some degree of presentness of mind is there. But that presentness of mind is not mindfulness. If it's mindfulness, then you don't have to come here for the retreat. Might as well we practice at home. But those part of it is not mindfulness. Other words, In other words, most of our time, although the mind stays on the present moment, on the presentness of whatever that we are doing day to day, those are not really mindfulness. But there are certain time, perhaps during the day, perhaps there's mindfulness there. But it doesn't last long. Perhaps that time when you need to be more careful in doing something, you exert the clarity so that your mind can able to stay with the thing that you are doing. For example, let's say, for example, you want to do something a bit dangerous. Maybe like hot water. You want to deal with hot water. And you want to carry the hot water. Or maybe you want to do the sewing, There's a thread and a needle. You want to go through that hole. As you get older, it's getting difficult. But when you want to do it, you see, you have to make the extra effort. You have to make the extra clarity on the mind. Something that you need to be more careful. Then you heighten up the alertness. You heighten up the clarity. And then that is mindfulness. You see a difference now. Most of the time we are not mindful. Most of the time we are just presently aware of what we are doing. Most of the time, throughout the whole day, we are somewhat like that. Even the mindfulness comes in with that heightened alertness. We don't realize that those are also mindfulness. But it does not last long. It's only for that particular activity, the mind is alert. After that, we go back to our whatever that we are doing. Yeah. Like for example, when a surgeon operates on you, you must hope that he has mindfulness. Yeah. If not, while he's cutting you up, his mind is somewhere else. Then you have a problem. So you make sure. So that type of job also here requires mindfulness. But is the doctor enlightened? I don't think so. I don't think so. Mindfulness is there, but not necessary enlightenment yet. Because there's only one criteria. There are a few other things further that is still needed. Yeah? So, now while we are here, we need to have that present state of mind, that clear, heightened state of mind. Since we talk about present, then here, if you go into your past or you go into your future, for example, to your planning, to your pondering on something, you going into memory of the past, recalling something in the past, if your mind goes into those state, into those part, here you can at least you're not mindful anymore. Okay? I mean, I'm sure today when you're walking or when you're sitting, I'm sure the mind has gone so many places, countless. Ask you to stay with the walking, lifting, pushing, dropping is so difficult. Ask you to stay with the rising and falling, then you sleep and get drowsy. Or the mind goes into a lot of thoughts and thinking. So therefore the past, the future, these two we put it aside. As long as you tell yourself, if you fall into this both, then at least you're not mindful. Yeah? So we come back to the present moment. So when it comes into the present moment, here we have to differentiate that which present moment is strong, is there's mindfulness, and which one is not. There's no mindfulness. Yeah. So it's more like when the mindfulness is there, it's more like a heightened awareness, a heightened clarity of mind. So that heightened clarity of mind, we want that heightened clarity in our walking, in our sitting. We have to bring that heightened alertness, heightened awareness in the walking and in the sitting. Now, how do we do that? For example, if you are doing in the walking meditation, you are doing the third phase, you're doing the lifting, pushing, dropping. When you pay attention, when you make the labeling of the lifting, pushing, dropping, and you pay attention to it carefully, this is where a strong mindfulness is coming in. The strong mindfulness is coming in. Now, if you were to do it carefully, you find that during that time, the thoughts and the distraction not so much there. Your mind can able to follow the movement of lifting, pushing, dropping, and you can notice sometimes the hardness, the softness of the leg or the floor. Yeah? So you pay attention to those things. Also, the heightened awareness also, you have to extend it out whenever you are, for example, when you are eating, or whether you are opening a door, you close a door. You have to put that mind there too, or the alertness there. Yeah? Or whenever you wear your sandals or your shoes, you have to do it carefully and with an alert state of mind. Not like what we do at home. And we do at home, we just wear and we go. Here, no. Here, you do it carefully. You do it mindfully. You do it with alertness. That how you actually wear the shoe or your sandals. So take your time. Be aware of what is going on. If you have to open the door, and perhaps the door here can be a bit heavy. So when you push, you be alert. You notice that you're pushing and you notice whether it's hard or soft or warm or cold perhaps, and you feel your energy or your body is leaning forward. Something like that. Yeah? So whenever you are taking off your jacket or wearing your jacket, or taking off a shawl, wearing a shawl, so be mindful, be aware of what you are doing. So here, all these small little things, which in a way falls under daily activities, which is not walking, not sitting. So those small little things, don't take it for granted. We transform all these small little actions of ours into mindfulness. So whenever you're able to do this thing, these activities, small little activities with alertness, with carefulness, you see that in a matter of few days, the mindfulness will come in, and not only just it comes in, not only it arises, it becomes more continuous. And that more continuous, that continuity, we want that continuity because the vipassana development depends on that continuity of mindfulness. It's not a sporadic mindfulness. You just do it and after that you forget about it. Then as you like, you do it. And you don't like, you just forget about it. You cannot do that. If you do that, there won't be any much of progress. So you need to have that continuity. So, for example, when you go into the dining hall, yeah, when after you be mindful of taking your food on the buffet line, yeah, of course, during in a buffet line, you may not be able to do it that slow. You do it with at least with some degree of alertness. But when you come to your sitting down, this is where nobody is waiting for you. So you sit down there, then you begin to eat mindfully. Now, eating mindfully here means that you have to eat and you be aware of your chewing, and also be aware of your scooping. So if let's say you are scooping up your rice, so if you're scooping up the rice, then you be mindful of the scooping. Now, to help you to be mindful of the scooping, then you can mentally say scooping, scooping. Then if you're pulling it back to you're bringing the hands, bringing the fork or the spoon to the mouth, then be mindful of it. Yeah? Moving or pulling, something like that. Yeah? Then usually is that when we eat in the as a vipassana practice, before we start chewing on the food, we mindfully put the hand down first. Then only you start chewing. One thing at one time. Yeah. So you mindfully bite, chewing, or biting. At the same time, your job is not to think about what you eat. You already thought just now you have taken your veggie, you've taken your tofu or whatever that you have taken onto your bowl. So fine that time. But this time when you eat, when you chew, you just take and bite and chew. And then this time let the food or let the tongue do its process. Your job is to observe what is going on inside there. Yeah. So you label it as chewing, or you may notice that sometimes the food can move from right to left and so on. And then until that time you want to swallow, then you notice it's swallowing until the sensation gone. Yeah. Then you after that you start all over again. Be patient. Yeah. I know it's difficult. It's not our style to eat so slow. Yeah. After all, you're not working. Yeah. You're not working. You sign up for this retreat, so might as well take your time. Be mindful of that eating, that chewing. So you see, the whole principle here right now, the mind is in the present moment. You know what you're biting. You know what you're chewing. So with that, not just only like chew or bite like what we do out there, here we do it with carefulness, with clarity, with alertness. Yeah. Even if let's say there's 20 morsels of fork or spoon is you of rice go into the mouth. If you can do it half of it, 50% of it, it's also very good actually. Yeah. So try that and see. Yeah? Try as best as you can. You may see other yogis are eating slowly. Then perhaps, hopefully, it kicks in to your, uh, to you in order for you to eat slower. Yeah. So don't rush. Take your time. Yeah. There are certain meditation that I come to know of. There are places where, I think in Malaysia, they have uh, eating meditation. They have specifically have eating meditation, and you have to eat exactly 1 hour or more. Yeah. They watch you how exactly you eat. Something like that. I'm not bothered what you eat, I'm bothered of whether you're mindful of what you eat. Yeah. Your dietitian maybe will be bothered of what you eat. I'm not bothered about that. I'm more interested if, are you mindful? Are you alert? Are you aware of what you are doing? Yeah. So, so you know, all your job is to make sure that you eat mindfully, take your time. Yeah? We have ample time. So this is what we call presentness of mind. Yeah? Stay with it, being mindful, and with that, your mind is it cultivates that alertness. And also you see the heightened awareness, the heightened consciousness, the heightened clarity, presentness of mind. This is one thing. Another aspect of mindfulness, it's called non-superficiality. Non-superficiality. Superficial, that means you take it very on the surface. Here, although it's a play of words, heightened awareness, non-superficial. Although it sounds the same, but actually sometimes different times of our practice, we may experience things differently. Sometimes you experience it as heightened awareness. Sometimes you experience as non-superficial. Yeah. Non-superficial means that we don't stay on the surface. For example, just now I mentioned about when every day what we do at home. Yeah. Activities or things that we do at home, we do it in a superficial manner, not alert manner, not a deep way of noticing. Yeah. So here in mindfulness, as the word non-superficial, what we want you to do is that we want you to take your meditation object with more carefully, with more, sink into it, so to speak, sink in towards it. Not like the cork, the wine cork, you throw it in the water, the wine cork will float on the water. We want it to be like a stone that you throw into the water, things go to the bottom. So to your alertness, your clarity, your attention, we want you to sink onto the object, towards the object, and begin to notice the true nature of the object. Let's take, for example, let's take an example of what? The pain. Let's say the pain. Yeah. You sit for a while. After that, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour later, the pain starts to scream, or mentally inside there you starts to scream, or you want to scream. It's getting painful. It's getting slowly. It becomes unbearable. Yeah. Now, your job as a meditator, as a vipassana meditator, whenever we comes with these difficult objects, unpleasant objects, your job is not to push them away. Your job here as a meditator, whenever this object becomes strong, becomes prominent, you have to pay attention to them. If the pain gets stronger, more it's clearer than your rising and falling. It's clearer than your sitting or touching. So here it becomes the predominant object compared to other objects in the sitting. Now here your job is to pay attention to it carefully, clearly. Notice how the pain getting stronger, or notice what type of pain. For example, there may be a pulling pain there. And then you notice as pulling, 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 pulling. At the same time, the intensity of the pain is getting stronger, getting more, or is beginning to spread. Your job again here is to see how it's going on, what is happening to it. The thinking of you want to get up, you want to look at the time, you want to hear the bell, and so on. Yeah, here all this distraction will start coming in because it's uncomfortable. Your doubt also will start come in because you say, "Why should I sit here for so long? Why do I need to sit here for so long? What is the all the point of this? Just bear up with the pain. What is the benefit after all? You know, all these are all doubts, mental doubts. You got to put all this doubt aside, all these thoughts aside, and just pay attention to it. Because you pay attention to it, you begin to see its process, and then this is where mindfulness, strong mindfulness, begin to arise. And not only strong mindfulness begin to arise, there are also deeper, direct knowledge also arise together with that observation. That one we put it aside first. What is interested right now is that the mindfulness is strong. It's not superficial. Superficial means that some yogis, when they pay attention to the object, they just they look at it like far away. When the pain comes in, they kind of like put the pain like a few arms length away. If you know what I mean. They dare not see. They just put it aside. And that is superficial. Yeah. That is superficial. Paying attention to this difficult object, then you have to see them, watch them, go over them, take notice of them. Then this is called non-superficial. So too, like whenever you feel heat of the body, uncomfortableness of the body, so don't move the body yet. Stay first. Watch that uncomfortableness. Perhaps that there is a pain in the back. There's a pulling. There's a heat. For example, don't move the body. Keep the body still. And that time, if those pain getting stronger or that uncomfortableness getting stronger, pay attention to exactly how they are. Yeah. And then it is not superficial. So, you see, other words, throughout the day, you have to keep your mind alert. You have to notice those things with carefulness, with precision, with at least with thoroughness, with with consistency, yeah, and patience and gentleness. So pay attention to those things in that way. And then the mindfulness will slowly, it will come in. What else? Now this mindfulness also, when, this mindfulness, the number of things that I've mentioned, like presentness of mind, non-superficial, heightened awareness. These are some of the things that you can use it throughout the day, in the sense that you can check when you are walking, or when you're sitting, or when you're eating, or whatever that you are doing in your room. You can, once in a while, you can ask yourself, hey, am I alert or not? Hey, am I in the present state of not? Once in a while, you have to ask yourself this question: am I being in the present? If you're not being in the present, because certain time we out of habit, our mind just go into thoughts, and we didn't realize it. We just do our things, but the mind is keep going on. It keep planning. It keep thinking. It keep this one. So once in a while, we ask ourselves, "Hey, am I thinking too much? Am I in the present moment? Am I noticing what is going on here?" So here is where you can self-check. You can self-check on your own practice. If you're a beginner, these things you have to do it frequently in order to get the habit of the mind staying in the present moment. If you don't self-check, and sometimes you just let the mental habit just carry on, that time is more like the mind is mindless, not mindful but mindless. Kind of like it's just habit. With that habit, it comes in with a restless mind, it comes in with desire, it comes in with doubt, and so on. So you have to rein in. You have to pull your mind, you have to pull your attention back to the present moment, to what you are doing in the present moment. Then that time, mindfulness will flourish. Mindfulness will arise. Also, there are also a few other things also, which also the nature of mindfulness. One of it is another one is the nature of acceptance. Yeah. The nature of acceptance. Here, when we say is acceptance, that means we are not pushing something away, neither we want it to stay. Yeah. Our job as a meditator, whenever the object arises, we have to see them as they are, if they are dominant. And then when it wants to go, it will go. It wants to stay longer, it will stay longer. Although you wish for it to appear, it doesn't appear sometimes, So your job is also to able to accept the true nature of their objects. And I tell you, there will come to you're going to go through many times that you are not able to accept what is in front of you. Sounds easy, but no, it's not that easy. Yeah. You see, for example, again, the pain. Yeah. If the mind is not trained, if our mindfulness, if we are not trained in this meditation, whenever unpleasant things arises or whenever unpleasant sensation arises, such as pain here and there, what we want to do is just to push it away. Pushing it away means that you want to adjust the body, you want to adjust the leg, you want to shift the body here and there. Immediately we want to push it away. And this is like inborn in us. Yeah. And this is a very strong habit. Very strong habit. Yeah. Yeah. For example, if you watch TV at home, how many times have you moved that body? But we don't realize it. There's a lot of movement there, but we don't realize it. The whole nature of because we move the body is because to overcome the discomfort. Yeah? We want to overcome the discomfort. Here, your job is to, say, for example, to sit there and not move for 1 hour. Yeah. If you are healthy, if you don't have any problem, too much problem on the body, there's no, you don't have to worry. Yeah. Some people worry what? They worry too much. Maybe if I sit too long, I'm going to get the cramps. I'm going to get this problem and that problem. Yes, one way or another, But the thing is that if you overthink about it, that is where the mind is not able to accept anything. Unpleasant, you see, this state of unpleasant bodily sensation, your job is to stay with it, watch it as they are, and then don't wish for it to go away, neither you wish for it to stay. It wants to go away, it will go away. Let's say you watch the pain for a while. You watch the pain for a while, after that, let's say it disappears. Well and good, let it go. Or let's say on something different. Let's say the body is experience pleasant feeling right now. Something pleasant sensation. Something soft and something nice, and it becomes prominent to you. Or in a way, you begin to sit there, you begin to notice this rising and falling becomes quite clear. Then that time when things are pleasant to you, you want it to stay. You desire to stay for a longer period of time. You don't want it to go. Mindfulness, if you were to do that, if whenever that rising, falling, or whenever that pleasant sensation starts to disappear, then you become very unsatisfied because lack of mindfulness. Sometimes, in a deeper aspect of practice, the state of mind, for example, sometimes memory of the past arises. And somebody, you have done something wrong, or somebody has done to you something wrong, and then you get angry or you get sad, or somebody passed away, then you get, because of those things, your mind cannot able to accept those things. Then emotional aspect keep on arising, fear, sadness, and so on. Those things, those mental states is even more difficult for us to accept. The body part, if you're having a leg pain, you just shift, then no more leg pain, right? But the memory of the past, sometimes how you move and how you walk and how you sit and night the next day is still there. Yeah. So that one even difficult to accept. Yeah. So that part also we're going to look into it also further on in another day. Because that part is one part that is also one of the major hindrance for yogis, because you cannot accept this, cannot accept that. Say it's easy. Sometimes nowadays they have books, psychological books, they help you to live better, to accept life, to accept this and accept that. You are not really accepting. A little bit of pain, you don't like it already. A little things very pleasant, you want it there. Yeah. They are still good, not to say. In the vipassana, we go into the micro level of it. Yeah. We go into the source to overcome this some of our hang-ups. So the acceptance part, it's important. Yeah. What else? Now, one of the aspect of mindfulness when it arises, the the text, the commentary mentioned that when mindfulness arises, your mind is what we called non-confusion, non-confused. It's not confused. That means you know what is going on. It's not muddled. The mind is clear. You know that there's a movement of this rising and falling. You know it exactly. There's rising and there's falling. You know that there's a thoughts arises and it passes away. You know that the thoughts that came and it went. You know it. You know that whenever you touching in the hands, you know it is there. You know that when there's a pressure that arises and the pressure disappear, you know exactly what happened. So this is what we call non-confusion. You're not confused. You're alert. Your mind is not muddled, and that is wonderful, because if you have that clarity of mind getting longer and longer, your mind, it becomes a habit, a good habit. There are apart from this mindfulness, it says that because of this mindfulness, because of that clarity, because of that non-muddledness of the mind, non-confusionness of the mind, then you're going to slow down your dementia. Whether it's true or not, I do not know. But there are studies says that if they have strong mindfulness, perhaps you're going to slow down the dementia. At least you still know what you are doing. This is part of the training. This is the side benefit of it. Now, come back to the practice. The next thing about this mindfulness is not just only knowing its character, not knowing its characteristics or knowing its nature, the different nature, the different facets of its characteristic whenever we practice this walking or sitting. But it's also another thing that is important as knowing its characteristic, is to know how to make the condition that mindfulness arises immediately. So you must know exactly what are the conditions so that this mindfulness can arise. The principle of this mindfulness to arise is called the predominancy of the object. Predominancy. Predominancy, or other words, means that that object at that moment of time is the clearest compared to all other objects. Compared to all other objects in the body or the mind. So that particular object, say for example, if you are doing walking meditation, again here lifting, pushing, dropping. When you notice the lifting, pushing, dropping, then we notice it, the sensation, the hardness, the softness, sometimes the vibration that's going on, or the pressure. Then when you notice these things, those are the becomes the most prominent objects. But there are also other sensation in the body too. There are also something here and there. There are also you're still breathing. There's also still rising and falling of the abdomen. But why don't we pay attention to all these other objects? Because the walking aspect is clearer compared to the rest, or perhaps the clearest object compared to the rest of the all other bodily objects, meditation objects. Because of that, we take up the clearest object. Therefore, when you falls into it, then the mindfulness arises. If you take up a very quaint object, or you take up a very faint object or not clear, then mindfulness will not arise. So the stronger, the clearer the object, the stronger the mindfulness. So one of the things in the sitting meditation, pain is the strongest. The pain is the strongest. You stay with the pain. At least if you can stay with it for 10 minutes before you put up the white flag, then the 10 minutes, the mindfulness comes in. So if you don't do that, then nothing much. So the stronger the object, the mindfulness is clearer. It's stronger and more continuous. So while you're sitting, for example, if the rising and falling is clear to you, pay attention to rising and falling, label it as rising, falling, pay attention to it. But if another object becomes clear, or rising and falling is not clear, then you have to look for something which is clear. That means perhaps this time the touching of the hand is clear. So bring your attention to the touching. Because of that, then mindfulness becomes continuous. From one object, it goes to the next object. Sometimes rising and falling is clear. The particular object is clear. But another object can be clearer at that moment of time. Let's say you're watching rising and falling. It's clear to you this time it goes forward, backward. Then sometimes you can see it long, short. Yes, good. But once in a while, maybe there's an itch that arises, and that itchiness becomes stronger than the rising and falling. At least for a short period, maybe, perhaps it comes in a short period, it's quite strong. Other words, you have to shift the attention from the rising and the falling. Although it's clear, you have to shift it to something even clearer. Although it may be unpleasant, but you shift it to it. You shift it to this itchiness and observe that itchiness, how the itchiness is like. It's getting stronger, whether it's a poking itchiness, whether it's burning itchiness or whatsoever. On other occasion also, sometimes as you begin to practice further deeper into this vipassana meditation, there will be times that the prominency of the object, they come in like 3 or 4 or 2 or 3 objects at the same time. And these objects are equally prominent. They're equally prominent. So what are we going to do this time? Here, you have to see them as they are. They show you in this way, you pay attention to them in that way. Don't worry about choosing one object yet for now. They show you in this way, you know how to take it up in that way. Usually this one, it will come in later in or more deeper into the practice. As the mindfulness starts to deepen, this nature of different objects coming together becomes more frequent. Even when you go deeper into the practice, prominency of an object perhaps does not going to last long. I mean, sometimes the prominency of an object just lasts 1 second or 2 seconds only. But then the next object is going to arises, just lasts for a few seconds. And then another object, again few seconds, and then again 1 second, 2 seconds. As if like there's a stream of objects. It doesn't last long, but you are noticing from one object to another object to another object to another object. Yeah. The nature of vipassana sometimes can go like that, in that way. So if it shows you in that way, your job is to pay attention to them in that way. Sometimes the meditator may think that if like that, then I'm not penetrating the object. I'm not going deep into the object. No. Your understanding of vipassana, thinking that sometimes object has to be dig into it, like you're digging a hole into the earth. Yeah. It's not like that. Sometimes the object is trying to show you different nature. Yeah? So your job is to see them as they are, not what you think that they should be. Yeah. So this part here on mindfulness, that you must know how to arouse it. You must know how to arouse it. That is also a crucial part of mindfulness, because every retreat that you're going to go, your job is to make sure you know which are those clear objects. In the beginning of the retreat, like what we are going through, because when you come in from out there to here, there's not much of mindfulness. You're slowly stirring it up. You're slowly cultivating it. So therefore, you have to have that walking. You have to make the effort to be alert of your opening door, sandals, wearing every small little thing. You have to try to be mindful. If you do these things, you find that in the next few days, the mind will start to become much more alert compared when you first come in, compared to yesterday. Okay, so we stop here for tonight, and tomorrow we'll continue the Dharma talk. The interview, so today we don't have, tomorrow we will not have that yet. The next day, today Monday, I will start to do some interview for some of you, not everybody yet. Because some of you have done a number of retreats already, so you don't have to be too rushed into interview. Yeah. So, but there are beginners yogi. There are some beginners yogi. Perhaps I need to see them, pay attention to them closer. Yeah? Okay. All right. So we stop here. We share merits. Idang me bhavanang nibbanasa pachayo hotu. May my mental cultivation be a condition for the realization of Nibbana. Imang no punya bhagang sabba satanang dema. We share these merits with our departed ones, with all beings and all the devas. Sape satta sukhi hontu anumodantu. May all beings be happy. May they rejoice in these merits. Sadhu.